I truly felt surpassed today. Felt like time is not in on my side. Not there for me to fill up the opportunities. When this thought only comes from within, nobody from out there is telling me that you ain't got enough time. Nobody's showing it to me that I'm not having enough time. It's only the feeling that like concludes from all these impacts I have throughout the day. And today it felt like a good day to give it another reason why I want to change how life is operating on me. Because I got to see that there are certain aspects which depend on another that could have just been like removed from the day and made things way easier in the time management. And what I'm talking about in that regard is work for someone else. Because I feel like time only played such an crucial part in how I'm feeling today with being stressed out because I spent some hours at a place where that time I spent wasn't used efficiently for the task I was doing, I was pursuing for that work. And that makes me wonder or makes my internal development processes like their alarm bells ring very loud. Because when hours from a day get used for something you can't stand upright because you feel like some things are not working in an efficient way, not even like only meant or placed onto your life, but also in the actual place you're working at. When you see that things are not like moving as they could because certain processes are not like improved yet, and nobody's actually thinking about these things as they just take it as it is, then this starts something in myself where I feel that I either have to like move ahead or do something about this in internal situation, this state that is certainly not in my hands but is still so close to me that I feel like I have to do something about it. But it's not my responsibility to take over these things, as I'm not getting paid for that. I can come up with ideas, I can recommend certain things, but when that's not your job and you start coming up with these ideas, people look at you in a very different way and certainly think you kind of like trying to like carry you up in some sort of way, or they might even think of you as someone who just, yeah, like hallucinates on their abilities. Because why would you be in that position if you have so much more to give? So that's like a quite narrow-minded view on things, but it's certainly reality. And living in this reality of dependencies or certain structures, especially in the area where you work, can be quite draining when you start to realize or look into all its aspects in a deeper way. So, spending hours at a place where you start to think and evaluate so much about it, yeah, brings something with it, especially when you have so much other stuff to do. And when your dreams are located at an exactly opposite side of things, and the other times you still have to like spend in that at that place because you're you need to get that income to sustain your life, then that is a quite big pain point for oneself once realized and once caught up. And that is a great motivation as well. It doesn't lead to frustration anymore because it's only fuel for me to do something, to do more. As without any pain, how or why should I even then start to approach something on my own? Why should I even give it a try or pursue my visions? Why would even a vision came up doing something extraordinary or new or solving some sort of problem when you're always okay with taking things as they are and how they come and how your work is like uh, throwing it at you? There wouldn't be enough room, there wouldn't be enough space and opportunity for oneself to like come up with that step, with that determined one that actually is the starting block of big changes. And I carry this feeling for such a long time, and I had times where I was very frustrated about the fact that it has already been years. I remember back then, I like it was 4 years ago or so, I already said myself, it has been 4 years, so 8 years back from now, since I started to see that I have to get out of this situational dependencies of an income of someone who is telling me what I need to do and what is good for me and not. And now, 4 years later, I'm still not there yet. Oh my God, that felt horrible. And I was very hard on myself at that time. And I'm still quite hard on myself now. But I see things in a different kind of light. Because that is, as mentioned, the fuel for change is, especially in that regard, the pain. When I feel enough pain about the situation I'm currently in, I will come up with a solution. Doesn't matter if early or later, I'll come up with one. And that's also determined by how much pain I'm feeling about it. And I feel I have times where, or I had times where I didn't feel much pain about the situation because it was quite okay. It was it felt that I did not have to come up with much and still get back quite much. That is like also a thing that is very common when you enter a pattern where you start to mostly unconsciously just get in the state of leaning back on yourself, on the situation, because it's like working out in on autopilot, then the room for actual growth can sometimes be quite, uh, yeah, shrunken down because there's not enough fire in yourself to get it moving. So, for example, when I was in Vienna only like 2 years back, I was in a job that was very easy to approach. I had work times from home, I had times where I could go into the office, and it was quite easy. And back then, I did not have any vision. And what then happened with me is when I don't have a vision I'm working for and still can live quite easily and am not getting hurt by how life acts on me, and I can start to take it as it is, even though I know that this is not the place where I'll want to stay, then that like behavioral acceptance just takes over to some degree. When you don't, when you stop questioning where you currently located. And what happened from having too little of a vision or plan or like passion and interest that really takes over, and you see something at the end of the tunnel which is like the leading force for your internal like definition of these things, then this leaning back is like a prisoning state where there's not much happening because life's quite okay, life's doing or feeling good. I don't have to come up with much. And when I don't feel the pain whenever I go there working, then why should come the change? And that is like quite a loophole. I think many people enter in and never get out of, even though they may be at the position where they would have the capabilities to question it, uh, ever going where they are currently positioned and make some moves, even though life feels quite easy or the level of acceptance is quite high, as they don't have to come up with much effort to like maintain their life or to just get this their job done. But when this loophole once starts and you not, as already mentioned, come up with the questioning side of things, when you don't start evaluating on the like distance you still want to travel within your life that you're currently living, and you're not outlaying these possibilities in a previous state or in a self-conscious like elaborated state, then the loophole of just staying in acceptance of how life is going on and how you're staying at your 9 to 5 job with like bad income, for example, or not enough time, is will just like sink in and mark you in a way where it's getting harder from time to time to actually be brave enough to make the change. So this specific loophole is quite a dangerous one, and I'm very happy about my ability to recognize that from a very early age on, as I've started to question not only myself and my behaviors, but also my surroundings. So often it was painful process as well. Don't get me wrong that this is like the easy path to go. When you start questioning way too much about yourself and your surroundings, you're certainly also being impacted with quite some harsh things, and you'll get quite hardened up in this process when you're not getting broken down all the way and end up at a complete different spot. But what what this made me realize was that this is not a thing that I'll ever break out of. I'll never want to leave this position of being not being at the right place when I'm not feeling like it is. And the right place is the one I'm determining for myself, that I have built myself, that I have worked for myself, that I've came up with a solution for myself, because that was the initial idea. That was my vision. I did not work for someone else's vision. I did work for my own. That is the thing I want to say to myself. And that was quite clear on it early on. So so I'll ever try to preserve this. And that is not something I'm concerned about now, as I've had years already where I had to like remember myself that this growth into a direction has to be led by myself and has to be like also found in myself. And when this kind of growth I want to make comes within a certain scale of dependencies, like with time, I have to come up to work at some other place or doing other things I need to fulfill because they are a part of life maintenance mode, then I still don't say to myself that there's too little room for that growth, or there's too little space to get it done, because there's always a way. When you really want it, then there is a way where you can pursue it. It doesn't matter how much time you have to spend. For sure there is a limit, and when you're burning yourself down in the process, that's not the objective of it all. It has to be like maintained in a very clear way. And that's why I also applied so many filters about what I am uh, like taking up on myself from out there. Because when if I would get out there meeting with people half a dozen times a week and doing things, hanging around, then I would never be able to break free, other than hanging around with people who are actually trying to pursue their dreams as well. But we are not speaking of those people. I've not come across these people yet, but I know there are those people, and I know that I'll find them, and that is also a big part of pursuing what you try to do or what you believe in, is that you have enough belief in yourself that there is a way, even though there's no clear evidence for yourself that there is. Just like with the example that there are people out there who actually want to uh, have time with you building our vision, our dreams. So when there's so little transparency about certain things, you likely miss out on it or just forget about it, as with so many other things as well. Just like with even starting to question yourself, even to start trying to find a solution or another way of living in this kind of sphere you are currently in, you're not happy about. Because even from there on, where you see that you're not happy about certain things, it still isn't determined that you're going to end up in a position where you're truly making big changes on that. Because you can always like get back into the rat race of just taking it, just sabotaging yourself, or following old patterns um, you entered years back then, and just stay in them. And sometimes, and maybe there's a time coming where you just feel okay with it again. This initial pain of making a change uh, then suddenly evaporated, and you ended up in something you once never could have imagined you'd do. And that was like the scariest thing I could think of. Looking back at myself, knowingly that I could have done more, knowingly that I have seen an open end which I could have been able to reach, but only could have, but not did. So being aware of these like big parts that intertwine within your perception, which are playing with your ability to get ahead of your previous patterns, are such a fundamental thing to like stand behind always. And coming back to that day today, it almost feels like I have entered another stage where I see how hard it could be or will be when I'm not changing something. Yeah, I cut off my recording just previously as I tapped my phone. Oh god. No, but I was already in the finish line of that one. I think I just wanted to add that days like these, where things are tightening up, where feelings are surpassing you, your abilities, your energy management, are there for your growth and are not against you. They are quite the biggest insights and reasons to move further, to get ahead of yourself and your previous state of mind, to truly develop in a direction where you'll be happy about yourself, where you'll be proud of what you've accomplished, as you're now at a point where you're actually standing behind what you're doing. And that pursuit will come with the vision. And the vision is only the first step. But knowing where the energy in yourself, that deeply rooted energy, is coming from, can lead many ways and will certainly always do. So that's what I'll always preserve. And on days like these, where things are overlapping, where times are conflicting onto each other, where I don't feel I can follow my routine in a way that uh, keeps me balanced, I'll remember what the effort is for. And days like these are only showing me how deep the pain is routed to make the change, as that one is always in your own hands. So, taking this and letting it sink in will do its work on me and maybe also on you. So, wish you a sunny day. If there's no sun, still get out and catch some through the clouds. It's always better than not to. And yeah, see you tomorrow, I'd say.